Jack Frost nipping at your nose. If you're watching this, there's a fair chance that it's that time of year. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, however you celebrate. And this year I thought I'd bring this song out because, well, it gives me that warm and fuzzy Christmas glow. It's a lovely crooning song. I've arranged this in the key of E flat, which isn't bad for my voice. It's a little bit high, but isn't everything. But with a capo on the first fret, we're playing it as if in D. So there's plenty of open strings that gives us more of an acoustic feel for the song. There are 4 straightforward sections, 8 bars each, a verse, another verse with a slightly different ending, then there's a bridge, and we're back to the verse with another ending, and that finishes the song, and I'll tack on a little 2-bar intro at the beginning, perhaps too. There's a fairly standard, not very advanced jazz chord vocabulary for this, so if you've been watching my videos this year and seeing the sorts of things I've covered, some of the bossa novas and more of the jazzy things that I've done this year, a lot of these chords will be familiar to you. Anyway, I reckon if we've got the first 3 or 4 bars under our fingers, actually we've got most of the chords for the song. They just reappear in different places. So let's begin by carving out the chords for the verse, and as you'll see, it recycles quite a lot. Now in a minute perhaps we'll look at some proper finger picking we can do with this song, but for now let's just play 4 strings, thumb on wherever the bass note is and my 3 picking fingers. Generally I'll try and keep my 3 picking fingers down on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings, but if they're forced up, as they are in the very first chord of the song, for instance, this D major 7 with the thumb has to be on the 4th string, then the picking fingers have to be up there on the top 3 strings too. This is D major 7, I'm simply barring across the 2nd fret for the top 3 strings. I could play the same thing here on the middle 4 strings, a bit mellower, exactly the same voicing, but this gives me a slightly crisper, brighter acoustic sound. Anyway, we're going to see this chord quite a lot. 2 beats of that, then we go on to E minor 7. And now I am going to move my fingers down to the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings. That's E minor 7. And then 2 beats later, we move on to this minor 7, F sharp minor 7. And we're going to see this one in a few different places. In a moment up here on the 5th fret, that's going to be A minor 7. And it's a very typical, very versatile jazz chord shape. F sharp minor 7. And then back to my E minor 7. That's the first 2 bars done. We get back to D major 7 now on the 3rd bar, and here's that shape again, now A minor 7, and that's going to lead us to this, which is D9. It's a very common, very useful shape in jazz and blues. D9 here, we're going to see that in a moment as C9 as well, but there we are. I've got my first finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Everything else is pretty obvious. That's going to take me to these 2 chords. They're both G chords, G major 7 and G minor 6. Now, if you watched my recent video, I'm Not in Love by 10cc that I covered, these 2 shapes appear a lot there. Anyway, that's it for the first 4 bars. And as I said, once we've got these chords together, we'll see them reappear again and again in different places, many times, many ways, throughout the song. So, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Okay, the 5th bar is a little bit of a handful. We come to this chord. Again, we're going to see this shape in different places. Here, it's starting on the 4th fret of the bottom string. This is G sharp minor 7, flat 5. It's a bit of a mouthful. G sharp half diminished, if you like. This is just how I'm playing this. Then I'm going to go down to what is essentially G7, but I'm going to play it this way. G13. Okay, we could be here all day if I call out every finger on every fret of every string, so hopefully you'll be able to work all this out. 2 bars each then of the G sharp minor 7 flat 5 to G13. This is about as hairy as it gets in terms of having to move your fingers to unexpected positions quite quickly. We get that. Now we get back to our F sharp minor 7. And again, after 2 beats of that, a single beat now to the G sharp minor 7 flat 5. That's going to lead me to this, which is a C7 moved up a fret. Okay, so we get Yuletide carols being sung by a choir. And every verse ends differently. This one takes a bit of a detour to here. Folks dressed up like Eskimos, which is quite difficult to pitch. We get F sharp major 7, which is just like the G major 7 we had before, but on the 2nd fret. Folks dressed, and now G minor 7, and that's C9 I promised you. Okay, and they take us on to F major 7. So really we're recycling shapes in different places, and we finish off with a single beat each of E minor 7, which we've already seen, and A7. You might like to think about buying the sheet music for this. It'll help you out because you'll have everything clearly laid out, and it also helps me out too, so do consider that. That would be appreciated. Anyway, the first 8 bars, then the first verse, as I say, the verses are all pretty much the same, is this. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows. And we're into the 2nd verse. Okay, the 2nd verse is exactly the same until it isn't, so let's just have it. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow. Well, now we get F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Find it hard. B7, or you could play B7 flat 9. I'm not going to if I'm playing B7, I'm not going to bother putting anything on the top string because I'm not going to play it. But this B7 flat 9 is perhaps better. Find it hard to sleep. E minor 7, A7. Tonight. That's the only difference we get there. Okay, that's the 2nd verse done. Now we get into the bridge. Again, I'm going to play a beat each of my E minor 7, A7. Nice acoustic-y chords, these. They know that sound. And we get into the bridge. It's 8 bars long, but the first 3 bars are just 2 beats each of stuff we've already looked at. A minor 7 and D9. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and presents on his sleigh. You sing an A, but you play G major 7. Sleigh. But just before we go on, remember that G minor 6? Well, if you play A minor 6 instead of D9, it's exactly the same thing, but instead of a finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string, it's a finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string. You could play A minor 7 to A minor 6. They know that Santa's on his way. There's just a bit less movement, a little bit more subtle, and you could keep an A in the bass. It doesn't really matter, but that's just a very jazz thing to do. Anyway, those first 4 bars of the bridge again. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and presents on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really do know how to fly. Okay, so the only thing that's new here is B7 sus4, and I'm just going to play what looks like an A chord, mispositioned, if you like, onto the 5th, 4th and 3rd strings, and I'm going to play just the middle 4 strings of the guitar. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really do know how to fly. And now we get into the next verse with this note in the melody, and which is an F sharp. So I could play my A7 and put and I quite like to support my voice with a melody note on the guitar. But actually, if you remember the G13, I'm going to play A13. and so. That just makes it, I just prefer that's a slightly warmer sound. Okay. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really do know how to fly. And so, and we're into the final verse. And of course the final verse is again identical, except for the ending. I'm going to start with the A13, which is where we leave the bridge. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. And though it's been said many times, many ways. Now, in the previous verses at this point we've just gone to C#7, but I want to go to C#7 flat 9 because Mary, that follows the melody. I get a D and a B. Merry Christmas. Now what happens here, the melody is Christmas. So I'm going to play F#7 flat 5, which is what I did at the end of the second verse, Christmas, and move straight onto this, B7 with a sharp 9. That's, again, because the D at the top of that on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string tracks the melody, Christmas, and I'm going to hold that little finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and get to my E7. That's the 3rd beat, and the 4th beat is just A7, to you, and that finishes the song. Okay, a couple of ideas. First of all, for the ending there. Many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. It's a bit of plain Jane, that ending. If you wanted something a bit more sophisticated, something that might feel a bit more typically jazzy, we end the melody on a D, U, which is the root of that chord. Now that's a major 7 chord. Here's something you could do. Find another major 7 chord, and it kind of almost doesn't matter which one, that contains the note D. There are going to be 4 of them. It's the root of D major 7, it's the 3rd of B flat major 7, it's the 5th of G major 7, and it's the 7, the major 7, of E flat major 7. So what you could do is delay that D major 7 with one of those chords. Maybe the B flat or the E flat would be less obvious. You'll see what I mean. Merry Christmas to you. That's the B flat major 7. But you could equally do that with the E flat major 7. Merry Christmas to you. And then if you're playing E flat major 7 here, you could just slide down a fret to the D major 7. Alternatively, you could play it there. Merry Christmas to you. So in fact, it's just slightly unexpected, but it all works with a melody. That's just a thought. And then once you're on the D, again, if you want something a bit more sparkly, how about this? Ooh. D major 7 with a sharp 4. That's a G sharp. There's a few different ways you could play that. I could do that. But if I play it here, I'm just adding a note on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. I might do that. That just gives it, as I say, a little bit of sparkle. All right, pretty much there. But in terms of picking, let me look at an E7, for instance, because that's a very typical chord, and what we're looking at here will apply to different shapes. If I don't have to, I'm not going to put my fingers up on the top strings. For that D major 7 I had to. But if we look at something that approximates a Travis picking pattern here, I'm going to bring my 1st and 2nd fingers down to the 2nd and 3rd strings. I'm not going to use my 3rd finger here. I'm going to place the thumb wherever the bass note is. So for E7, that's going to be on the bottom string. I'm going to pick the bottom string, then I'm going to come up to the 2nd string with the 2nd finger. Then I'm going to bring my thumb up to the 4th string. And finish off that cycle with my 1st finger picking the 3rd string. And I'm going to do that whole cycle once per beat. 1, 2, Okay, and pretty much throughout the song we've got 2 chords per bar. Sometimes we've got more than 2 chords. Sometimes the chords only last for 1 beat. But in any case, you've got time to play that on every beat. Whatever your chords are. And you don't want to be too stiff about this. A minor 7, let's try that. Now hear that? If I start to accent to create little syncopations and so on, particularly with that first finger picking the 3rd string, that's going to sound a little more organic. Sometimes it's a lot to get in, so you might try just playing the straight chord there and just fanning the fingers across. So if I take, I don't know, the 2nd verse. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Yuletide tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. I got the lyrics wrong there, but you get the idea. That's the sort of thing I might try and break out, maybe just in the 2nd verse or maybe just in the bridge. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and presents on his sleigh. That kind of a thing. That's what I've got. In my playthrough, I've got just the piano in the 1st verse and then my bass and drums come in the 2nd verse and then go through to the end of the song. So I might do something a bit more laid back for the 1st verse. Almost forgot, I do have an intro, just a 2-bar intro, and what I've got is this. F sharp minor 7 to B7 flat 9, then E minor 7 to A7, and I might go to A13 there. So the intro would be 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Chestnuts roasting on and there we are. That's all I've got. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'm going to have a little playthrough. And thanks so much for all your kindness and comments and attention and watching and all the rest of it this year. It really has made a massive difference to know I'm part of an ever-growing and very lovely community. So happy holidays to you. Okay, let's have a playthrough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and presents on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kiss from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas.